An unexpected glitch in the global arc mesh exposed a covert bid by the technocratic Kjern clan to hack Earth's shield and spark distrust. Jonas and Arc countered with Patchwork, an open-source app that turned a billion phones into microfirewalls, drowning the Kjern virus in improvised jazz-signatured noise. The Kjern ultimatum collapsed under Unity Echo, a planet-wide musical flash mob that broadcast the 112 alpha tone woven with every nation's folk melodies, rendering Earth a living waveform no perfect weapon could target. Beating the Incursion won humanity 3 seats on the Alliance Council and enshrined crowd chaotic hardening, where memes and volunteer networks stand as the new first line of defense. So when fresh drones appeared beyond the moon, the planet faced them as one ship, ready to reply with shared music, instant patches, and zero fear. Stay with us if you want to see how the story ends, and don't forget to subscribe. The ferrosilicate rain on Farside Station fell in quiet sheets, each droplet sizzling into vapor against the platform's thermal mesh before it could blister the alloy. Observer Arc 6-11, a Ranghari endomorph whose people normally preferred the methane swamps of Tau Rasselas, tightened the seals on their translumin hood and stared down at the blue-white marble drifting in the dock's viewing well. Earth. A bright, chatter-loud world scheduled for probationary accession in 46.9 years and 1 solar month. Give or take a bureaucratic delay. Arc hated the assignment. Humans were messy. Atoms of kindness fused to cores of irrational rage, liable to spray fallout in every social direction. But some cosmic ledger, Arc did not believe in fate, yet the phrase had lodged in their translator notes, apparently demanded one more evaluation. A rumor had reached the Council. A fringe pirate cartel known as the VRYX swarmed near Sol's or Halo, testing gates, sniffing for low-tech worlds to harvest before the Alliance could brand them protected. That rumor, combined with a report filed by an overcurious junior auditor about statistical anomalies in human emergency altruism, had prompted Arc's sudden redeployment. Observe, verify, mark risk. They touched a pad. The scouter's hull dissolved into mirror mist around them, and the ship fell toward Earth on a probability roller that bypassed every early warning telescope. Entry vector, North American Midwest. Date, early spring, local. Weather, supercell swarming, tornado probability 0.62. The metrics conjured reflexive dread in Arc's lizard hindbrain cluster. Atmospheric chaos could cripple disguised nodes. But a high-energy front also offered cover. No Starwatcher looked for skyfall anomalies when sirens already howled. Half a continent below, a red pickup skidded onto a dirt service road that cut between flat winter wheat fields. Jonas Lark, 36, divorced once, overdue on property tax, and proud caretaker of Washika County's Stormwatch Volunteer Station, braked hard beside a sagging barn. Radar pings on his battered tablet showed rotation. Bright Hook Echo, east edge of the grid, close, but not yet monster. He left the engine running, eyes on the roll cloud bruising the southern horizon. That was when he noticed the shape lying in the ditch, vaguely human silhouette, silver shimmer bleeding off like gasoline rainbow. Jonas cursed, slammed the door, sprinted through sucking mud. Closer, details blurred sense. Body lengthened where it should narrow, joints wrong, skin gleaming translucent coral. Someone in a suit? Crash victim? He knelt. The figure stirred, 2 dark faceted eyes reflecting lightning. Not a costume. Not possible. Yet the moan, semi-musical, soft, cut through the rational freeze. Easy now, Jonas murmured, voice dropping into the calm tone he used with spooked horses. He fumbled his phone. No bars, cell towers already knocked out, so he switched to training. Check airway. Slitted spherical across chest wall, fluttering slow but steady. Bleeding? None he could ID. Mobility? The creature's lower left limb twitched at an angle that hurt Jonas to imagine. He looked at the sky, wall cloud lowering, debris signature pinging radar. 10 minutes. He slid arms under the alien's torso, slick, crystalline plates, and hauled. It weighed almost nothing, maybe 50 pounds. He half ran, half staggered to the pickup, laid the being across the back bench, threw a tarp over the form. Then he sped for the county's only reinforced culvert. Sirens screamed. Hail hammered. The tornado unzipped the sky behind him. In orbit, Arc felt their heartbeat collapse into triple stutter as the remote feed displayed impossible data. Human male retrieving unmasked observer pod, violating cloaking, ignoring fear metrics. Protocol commanded immediate reclamation, neuroscrub of witness, sequestration of endangered operative. But the storm's EM field jammed the retrieval drone network, and Jonas's truck had already ducked beneath 9 feet of concrete while the vortex chewed the farmland above. Arc were located in a blur of folded steps, landing half a kilometer from the culvert while debris still rained. They dropped the hologram, revealing rangy insectoid form, and scuttled forward. The culvert's door burst, Jonas stumbling out, coughing dust. He froze when a 6-limbed silhouette materialized among shredded cornstalks, compound eyes glowing violet. Jonas lifted his hands. If you're friends with the one in my truck, not here to hurt anybody. His voice cracked but held. Arc's translator clicked. You extracted an asset of my directorate. Why? Seemed like dying was a bad option, Jonas said, chest heaving. Is your friend gonna live? Ark swept a wrist scanner across the tarp-covered body. Stabilizing but critical. They extended a nerve patch, hissed instructions. Jonas followed, fingers gentle. This, Ark thought, is the anomaly. Within 20 minutes drones arrived, cloaked to human sight but not Ark's. They lifted the injured observer into stasis foam and whisked them skyward. Jonas watched. No sedation clouded his memory. Standard directive, scrub. Yet Ark hesitated, insectoid mandibles flexing. One kind human act reverberated louder than threat indices, louder even than VRYX scouting signals creeping toward the heliosphere. Containment breach is certain once raiders arrive, Ark said quietly. A liaison may be unavoidable. Jonas blinked, not following. Ark placed a crystal wafer in his palm. Quantum beacon. Keep hidden. If skies darken with ships louder than storms, press center. Then they stepped back, vanishing in a whisk of bent probability. Jonas drove home under a clearing sky, piece of alien starlight burning icy in his glove box. 9 weeks later, the VRYX broke stealth, blooming a mine lattice at Neptune's fringe. The Alliance Council convened emergency talks. Factions argued timelines. Earth unprepared. Yet the ledger, Ark felt the phrase itching again, demanded payment for bravery rendered in a muddy ditch. They proposed the Lark variation, fast-track one human through crash course diplomacy, then reinsert as emergency shepherd. Council skeptics balked until Ark displayed body cam footage of Jonas lifting an alien stranger under a rotating wall cloud. Argument ended. Training happened aboard the Axiom loom above Deneb's pale rings. Jonas learned faster than sim predictions. Human brains, it seemed, encoded empathy as compression algorithm. Show him one refugee flotilla's sorrow, and he could extrapolate a coalition's logistics map. 6 months subjective, 3 relativistic days outside. Enough, perhaps. Then came a pulse. VRYX siege tenders sliding into lunar L2, escort pickets sniffing with weaponized gravity. Alliance cruisers could engage, but open battlefield and soul risked shattering humanity's sky before consent. Liaison time. They ferried Jonas to orbit in a dusk-black bullet, Ark by his side. Briefing repeated, contact national leaders? UN assembly? No, too slow. Instead, Dr. Maya Lark, Jonas's estranged sister, astrophysicist directing Earth's clandestine exoplanet radar. Her classified clearance, analytical mind, embers of affection for a brother who once pulled her from a house fire before their parents noticed. Personal trust would scale. They landed in Mojave night, cloaked. Jonas crossed floodlit gravel toward Maya's remote array, heart thrashing louder than jet wash. Security drone challenged. He flashed an alliance sigil, centuries too early for Earth's codex, but drone's red pattern as friendly. Maya herself emerged, lab coat flapping. John? Last I heard you were chasing storms. Her voice trembled between anger and astonishment. Then the sky opened, Alliance dropship shimmering, Ark stepping out with dignitary escort, lunar horizon sparking as VRYX probes lit defense grids. Maya's jaw clenched, her scientific awe crushed by protective terror for the planet spinning beneath them. Jonas took her hands. I brought help, and news big enough to drown every grievance we left unsaid. Negotiations in low Earth orbit lasted 12 tense hours. Alliance demanded VRYX withdrawal. VRYX commander scoffed, citing primitive world right for salvage. Jonas cut through posturing with a live broadband broadcast to every human device. He revealed Ark's recording of the tornado rescue, the training, the looming threat. He spoke plainly. I came back because storms are coming, bigger than ours. Help stands ready, but only if we choose cooperation over panic. Humans did panic, but differently than forecasts. Instead of global rioting, a patchwork of citizen radio nets formed ad hoc translation groups. Amateur astronomers used backyard telescopes to ping Alliance hull lights in Morse. Mountain preppers trucked surplus water to city shelters. Crowds in Sao Paulo cheered when an Alliance frigate blinked rainbow thrusters across dusk, proof the universe was larger and, maybe, kinder. Facing unified planetary courage, the VRYX lost narrative advantage. Alliance strike teams cut supply lattice, Earth-based laser nets, blueprints gifted in midnight data dumps to Maya's team, cracked 2 pickets. VRYX flagged retreat. When dawn painted the Pacific, Jonas watched the enemy fleet fade. Ark stood beside him on the orbital observation deck. Mandibles relaxed. I never believed kindness outweighed calculus, they admitted. Jonas smiled, weary. Storm chasers no different. A good wind can flip a house, sure. But people rebuild, because a neighbor hands them a hammer. Below, Earth awoke to a sky laced with starships and promise. Official diplomacy would sprawl years, but the first step, one man lifting a stranger in a tornado ditch, was written. Ark logged the final observation, ledger balanced in unexpected favor. Recommendation: upgrade species classification to cooperative emergent immediately. No council member objected. And somewhere, In Washika County, an old red pickup still smelled of alien ozone, a reminder that sometimes the universe turns on a single act of unmeasured decency and never quite turns back. Jonas never forgot the first morning after the VRYX turned tail and burned their engines past lunar orbit. Earth was still wrapped in half-evacuated cities, cell towers looping emergency chimes, and late-night anchors double-checking pronunciation of Galactic Alliance. Yet from 420 kilometers up, the dawn looked almost smug. Pacific blushing rose beneath a chevron of silver frigates, as if the planet wanted to show she'd woken before the rest of the class. On the Alliance flagship Stormweaver, observer Arc 6-11 pivoted a multifaceted lens toward Jonas. Initial wave of collective panic has subsided, they reported, voice trilled through translator chimes. Jonas sipped coffee brewed in the ship's molecular recycler, startlingly decent. Yeah, now we get the hard part. Arc's mandibular fans flexed, a Ranghari shrug. Convincing 8 billion instinct-heavy primates to draft a single diplomatic charter while collision steering every opportunist empire left in this quadrant away from your atmosphere? Exactly. Jonas grinned despite nerves. You'll fit right in at the UN. 1. They began in Geneva because all crisis roads already pointed there. Maya Lark's IC, Satellite Security Dome, had been repurposed overnight into the contact secretariat. She stood at the central holodais flanked by a patchwork honor guard, 2 Echo Commandos in light-bending armor, a crown windkeeper wearing braids of living grass, and Ambassador Thal, who resembled a column of pearlescent smoke restrained by gentle wind. Journalists clustered like starlings behind velvet ropes. World leaders paced back-channel call booths trying to remember which protocols pertained to planetary first impression. Maya keyed the mic. Fellow delegates, yesterday we survived limb-thick gravity lances because the Alliance intervened after a single human proved himself trustworthy in a tornado ditch. Today, the Alliance wants 50 more Jonases, 1 per nation, to begin integration. They want transparency, they want collaboration, and, frankly, they want us not to embarrass ourselves. Cameras flashed. Within minutes, hashtag 50 Jonases trended across every feed, half satire, half pride. But in Beijing, a hardline defense minister saw only risk, foreign craft hovering in near space, hacking comm relays to share blueprints for stranger weapons. In Moscow, an oligarch general imagined a black market fortune in alien alloys. In Washington, a coalition senator framed a hearing titled Cosmic Overreach. Should we trust ex-bureaucrats? The Secretariat's first real fracture cracked less than 24 hours after the handshake. 2. ARC monitored the fractal social graph blooming red. Conspiracy loops, cult prophets, military opportunists. They called it the Discord Horizon, a point at which data churn outruns truth parse, making diplomatic convergence statistically impossible. Earth was sprinting straight for it. Jonas felt it too. He paced Stormweaver's observation deck, watching Comsat feeds jitter between cheers and fury. We need a basal meth, he told ARC, something everyone can plug into before propaganda picks their plugs for them. Humans already share core myths: home, future, children. But they argue which children matter, whose home is sacred, whose future gets funded. We need a symbol that leaps borders. ARC chirred thoughtfully. Their translator synthesized a human phrase that tasted awkward on mandibles: a storm siren. Jonas blinked. You mean those countywide air raid alarms? Your species stops arguing when they wail. Within hours, Maya and the Alliance Engineering Corps compiled blueprints for a siren mesh, orbital microbeacons piggybacking off existing GPS constellations. Instead of blaring klaxons, the mesh would broadcast a universal priority code, 112 alpha. Any receiver, from smartphones to merchant satellites, would superimpose a single icon, a spinning blue arc and a caption translated into every known tongue: one ship, one storm. The mesh launched unnoticed. Its drones were the size of fist bones, carried piggyback on the same laser relay satellites Earth already blamed for sketchy Wi-Fi. But once the grid went live, every screen, billboards, subway ads, school tablets, blinked the arc for 6 measured beats before fading. A test only. Enough to seed recognition. Conspiracy groups howled. Yet within 48 hours, meme culture folded the arc into everything: one ship pizza sale, one storm workout challenge, and a top chart pop anthem whose chorus hit 112 BPM exactly. Kids hummed it in playgrounds. Soldiers tapped it against rifle stocks. The mesh had become a planetary earworm, tying humor to alertness. ARC's storm siren, but viral. And then the real storm cracked the sky. 3. The Korath Crucible, a hive fleet exiled from Alliance space, had tailed the VRYX but arrived late. They liked ripe edge worlds, species mid-lift yet unmilitarized. Earth to AT. Crucible scouts ghosted past Neptune, disguised as comet shadows. Alliance perimeter buoys pinged them 5 hours from Mars transfer. Too close for a fleet intercept. Arc flashed Jonas from drop bay staging. We breach Discord horizon at next sunrise unless Earth sees why Unity matters. Maya triggered 112 Alpha full priority. The arc burned across every screen, not 6 beats, but continuous. Subtitles scrolled. Unknown hostiles inbound. Alliance shields massing but need ground-to-orbit alignment. One ship, one storm. Link. Link opened interactive overlay. Raise civilian lasers to calibration mode. Volunteer amateur astronomers to provide coordinate locks. Reroute hydroelectric overflow to capacitor fields. It was the world's first crowdsourced planetary defense build. In Ilobasco, El Salvador, a retired schoolteacher lugged a backyard telescope onto her roof and punched coordinates into an app. In Lagos, university students rewired a research laser to spec. In rural Kansas, the same tornado siren Jonas once maintained now pulsed the arc tone, volunteers stringing copper coils along grain silos to feed inductive grids. Across oceans, amateur coders patched power balancing scripts, mimers turned spec diagrams into dance challenges that spread faster than official instructions. 5 hours. Cruiser silhouettes breached lunar shadow, Crucible frigates spitting plasma into Alliance interceptors. 3 hours. First ground-to-orbit capacitor arcs climbed the exosphere, anchored by those Kansas coils and Lagos laser locks. 2 hours. The arc's tone stopped sounding like a meme and started feeling like heartbeat. Alliance tactical AI meshed the improvised grid into Stormweaver's shield lattice. The result was ugly, patchwork, human. But when the Crucible's lead spore ship fired a Kytheric lance, an energy ribbon designed to liquefy capital hulls, the shield flickered Kansas blue, Lagos amber, Ilobasco starlight purple, and held. The lance shattered. Spore ship vented, spiraled, self-detonated. Earth's orbital feeds erupted, half in fright, half in triumph. Amateur operators hooped through open comms as professional generals gaped. Jonas slammed Stormweaver's railing, hollering old football chants until Arc, uncomprehending, joined rhythm on 6 insectoid feet. The Crucible pulled back. Alliance cruisers chased. Humanity's mesh flickered standby, then glowed gold. Storm passed. 4. Aftermath rippled slower than battle but cut deeper. Some governments demanded encryption keys to the siren mesh. Others argued the mesh proved global data collectivism trumps national security. A faction inside the U.S. Senate drafted a Sovereign Firewall Act. Moscow oligarchs offered bounties for cracked ARC code. Meanwhile, public imagination soared. Kids in Mumbai held cardboard helmet ceremonies declaring themselves ARC cadets. A Yarntalk trend crocheted deepwake pedals as comfort toys for Quake refugees in Turkey. NASA capitalized, renaming the Artemis Base Camp project Storm Arc Alpha, fast-tracking with Alliance additive factories. But inside the contact secretariat, stress fractures widened. Maya faced a midnight quorum call where Beijing and Ankara delegates threatened to sever from the mesh unless granted veto power over any future global codes. Jonas watched exhaustion line his sister's eyes and knew they risked sliding back into Discord. So he bet everything on one last domino: radical transparency. He requested Stormweaver release full battle telemetry, no redaction, showing which amateur nodes bore the brunt, where shield failure loomed, how every link mattered. Alliance Council balked. Such data literally mapped internal shielding algorithms. Arc argued risk. But Jonas countered, we built trust by letting them join the storm. We keep it by showing them the bruise. Council assented conditional. Feedwith Stream once edited to strip proprietary subquantum maths. Good enough. The unfiltered mosaic reached Earth in 23 languages, annotated by open-source physicists within hours. People saw that a suburban makerspace in Nairobi had patched a power desync that could have toppled the lattice. They saw the whipcord tug of a teenage ham radio operator in rural Ohio adjusting phase to stabilize a shield edge over Pakistan. Narrative shifted. We did that together. Beijing and Ankara quietly retracted veto threats by morning. Senate shelving bill. Oligarch bounties lost clickbait momentum. ARC delivered final observer note. Discord horizon avoided. Recommendation: elevate Earth to candidate member with joint mesh stewardship. Council vote passed 12-1. The dissent citing human mean volatility, a risk now deemed feature, not bug. Within a month, the ARC mesh keys resided in a trinary vault, Stormweaver, the Secretariat, and a rotating citizen assembly drawn by Global Lottery, a first in Alliance history. Jonas phoned his county back home. Siren Tower answered automated. Storm cleared, the old recording said. He smiled, knowing its digital twin now orbited 500 kilometers up, humming the same blue arc tone. Arc joined him on the promenade, still rangy. Still guarded, but facets gleaming warmer. You and your species wield unpredictability like blade and bomb, they said. The ledger is not balanced. It's rewriting itself. Jonas leaned on the rail. Storm chasing taught me, you can't stop the sky twisting. Best you can do is lay down markers and help neighbors stand tall afterward. Ark tasted the phrase. Then let us place more markers together. Below them, nations argued budgets, scientists shared schematics, kids sang Ark anthems off-key. Above, Alliance hulls etched patrol lines across sunrise blue. The storm would come again, storms always did. But now Earth had a siren loud enough to call the galaxy for a hand, and hands enough on the ground to answer. And somewhere, in a refurbished tornado shelter outside Washika County, a red pickup sat under new solar panels, its dash cam blinking a ready light. Just in case the sky decided it needed another neighbor with a spare seat. ChatGPT. Remote scan telemetry caught the first tremor in the Ark mesh 4 months after Earth's provisional accession vote, too faint for Stormweaver's battle-grade diagnostics. Yet unmistakable to the smaller sensor pods, Jonas had insisted on parking in low orbit as civilian ears. A single node over Patagonia pulsed off timing, plus 0.006 milliseconds. That alone meant nothing. Ionospheric glare, sunspot tickle, except the same deviation rippled again 8 minutes later, this time plus or minus 0.006 in phase opposite polarity. A mirror glitch. A signature. Arc 6 to 11 snapped upright at their console. Across the promenade, Jonas was coaching 3 human communications cadets on how not to flinch when Gary's mandibles clicked. Arc interrupted without preamble. Mesh node 24 is being tapped. Symmetric ghost imprint suggests embedded backdoor. Alliance architecture, legacy revision. Jonas's coffee froze halfway to his lips. Alliance tech? That means insider. Or ex-insider. Ark's facets darkened. There is only one clade with access to the deprecated handshake key we phased out 6 cycles ago, the Kjern. Jonas swore. He remembered the dossiers, a perfectionist technocratic sect expelled from the council for attempting to price-gate gravity drive patents. They'd vanished into fringe labs beyond Serpin's cloud. Rumor said they wanted to curate worthy civilizations while letting messy ones fail. Humanity, with its meme storms and patchwork shields, would be Exhibit A for unworthiness. Within 20 minutes, Maya Lark, now interim planetary science liaison, was on secure hollow from Geneva, her eyes flinty. We see the same phase anomaly on ground logs. Does it compromise the Ark encryption? Not yet, Ark answered. But if the Kjern slip parasitic code into 3 geographically separate nodes, they can run an integrity fork, convince half the mesh the other half is corrupted. Your global network would fragment into distrust within hours. Can you purge them? Maya asked. Ark hesitated. Not without cycling every node. That means 94 minutes of silence, your planet blind while the Crucible regroup or any raider slithers in. Jonas put down the mug. We can't pull the plug. We need another patch. He glanced at the cadets scribbling notes. And this time, we teach Earth to do the patch themselves. The RIT patch gambit. Step 1. Reveal the threat publicly, no cloak and dagger. Jonas went live on the Ark broadcast, flanked by Ark and Maya. He explained, we have a software infection aimed at turning our one-ship siren into a Tower of Babel. If it succeeds, the next real storm will hit us arguing about whose alert tone is legit. Step 2. Open source the defense. Alliance cyber architects dumped a simplified packet sniffer suite onto GitHub mirrors. Maya's team packaged it into a phone-sized app named Patchwork. Any user could scan their local mesh ping and flag anomalies. Step 3. Incentivize chaos. TikTok science influencers challenge followers, catch the ghost ping, when a shout-out from actual aliens. The response dwarfed even Jonas's tornado story. Within 6 hours, Patchwork downloads topped 600 million. Amateur radio clubs in Argentina triangulated the Patagonia ghost. While a high school coder in Manila spotted a twin blip off Palau, an Inuit satellite internet outpost pinged the third echo over Hudson Bay. Step 4. Flip the trap. Each flagged node relates spoof pulses, mathematically pristine but subtly human, embedding irregular beat permutations Jonas called jazz signatures. The Kjern's parasite code, expecting sterile timing, tried to merge. The jazz loops fed it recursive non-solutions, ballooning its memory footprint until it triforked and exposed its source headers. Alliance counterbots pinned, scanned, and broadcasted the payload to every Patchwork instance. Overnight, 1 billion endpoints became micro-firewalls. By sunrise, the Kjern attempt collapsed. No silent cycle, no lost trust, just a global patch riot, memes whirling alongside packet captures. In the aftermath, UN analysts coined a new cybersecurity category, crowd chaotic hardening. Alliance statisticians simply logged a 47 sigma anomaly. Human improvisation exceeded pathogen complexity by emergent factor 3.7. The offer and the ultimatum. 2 days later, a guilt-sheathed courier pod emerged beyond Saturn, streaming a narrowband declaration. To the Terran Provisional Authority and its Ranghari handler, you display adaptability. Join our curated ladder, cede mesh administration to Kjern custodians, and be shepherded toward optimal order. Refuse, and we will quarantine your star until entropy reclaims the experiment. Maya slammed the text onto the Secretariat hollow. Senators blanched. Beijing's defense chair demanded kinetic retaliation. Ark folded lower arms, his pensive. Kjern hulls carry meta-disruptors calibrated to alliance shields. A direct shootout risks cascade failure. Jonas paced. Then we out-narrate them again. Turn their ultimatum into a poll no one wants. He proposed Unity Echo, a synchronized planet-wide broadcast echoing the Ark tone, piggybacked on every commercial satellite, ham repeater, and idle microwave tower. But instead of the one-note siren, each country would modulate the carrier with a fragment of its musical heritage: tabla heartbeat, Tuvan throat drone, Celtic fiddle riff. Millions of tiny variances, one harmonic spine. Alliance engineers winced, a waveform that Messi could fold back and fry half the transmitters. Human audio producers grinned. Challenge accepted. At 1800 hours Universal Time coordinated, the Unity Echo rolled. From Dakar to Vladivostok, rooftops trembled with overlapping chords, discordant, magnificent. Orbital spectrographs painted the ionosphere in aurora threads never logged before. Kjern sensors, tuned for perfect phase lattices, registered the planet as a swarm of living interference. No deterministic fork possible. Any incursion vector would drown in noise. The gilt courier vanished. Threat withdrawn. Aftermath, a seat at the table. Alliance full assembly convened at the Nexus Ring. For the first time since the Coalition's charter, humans held voting presence. 3 seats. One for Maya's science block, one for a rotating civil mesh cohort chosen by global lottery, and provisionally, one for Jonas as cultural mediator extraordinary. Opposition sprang, of course. The Jor Hive claimed humans abused chaos privilege, that their mimetic storms might destabilize more mature worlds. But the Crown Windkeepers countered. From Earth's unfiltered sky, we learn resilience. The final tally, 32 aye, 5 nay, for abstain. Motion carried. That evening, on Stormweaver's observation deck, Ark watched city lights wink through patchwork cloud. Ledger theory, they mused, would say your kindness seed keeps compounding interest. Jonas chuckled. Storms still come. Difference is, we don't stand alone in the field anymore. His wristcom pinged. Geneva hotline. He answered. A young Ghanaian woman, random draft mesh delegate, appeared, breathless. Sir, my patch node just flagged a new anomaly, far side of the moon. Smaller signature, looks like exploratory drones. Jonas exchanged a glance with Ark. No rest for storm chasers. Ping the amateur nets, he said, already moving. Let's find out who wants a conversation, and whether they deserve one. Ark's eyes gleamed. One ship, one storm, Jonas answered. Grinning as alarms flickered to life, familiar, daunting, but now unmistakably theirs. The sky outside rolled its silent thunder, and Earth, for the first time in its turbulent history, turned toward the unknown not as isolated tribes, but as a single, mesh-knitted beacon. Ready to meet the next ledger entry with open hands and very loud music.